Hey guys, what's up?
John is a med school guy. I've worked with a lot of, it's interesting. I've worked with quite a few med school guys. I don't know how many,
Wow.
but
Wow.
quite a few. All over the world. I mean, you name it. I mean, all over the place. And I've had another one or two in Chicago. So
Wow.
yeah, oh yeah. And they're very happy, I might add. So what's the story with John? Well, he's a whippersnapper. He started talking to us in the middle of 2019. So 2020, 21, 22, 23. He's kind of slow in getting, on our, trying to get on our wagon.
Yes.
He kind of has one foot on the wagon and one foot on the road. So we're trying to get him on the wagon all the way because that's the way we get rid of it. Beating stuttering is a lot like learning a foreign language. It's immersion. If you and I had to learn Chinese and we started going to school at night in our spare time with a book this thick and a Chinaman up front talking to us, that'd be one pace of learning it. Now, if one of us got a job in a grocery store as a bagger by the cashier, and we had to talk Chinese all day, every day, 6 days a week or something, that would be immersion. See, and if we went home and lived with a Chinese family,
Yeah.
that would be immersion, and that's how you beat it. And what our program, we talk about a 1, 2, 3 punch. It's a form of immersion. Like we say, look, we want you to hear, as you may recall, I'm not sure which book you've read exactly now, but when in my later books, my goal is to get people hearing fluency from their lips up to about 14 hours a day.
Right.
That's immersion, see, because I'm trying to drown your brain with fluency, and that builds its own memory bank and conditioning, and you start getting used to. You realize what's normal is not holding back your speech and trying to think about your words. That's what's abnormal. What's normal is just letting them out. I'm just talking now. I'm not thinking about any of my words. And you're fluent. That's fluency. That's what fluency is. And you're fluent quite a bit, I'm sure, with me and anywhere else. But there's a lot of times this habit jumps in there because it's been around so long, because you started stuttering at age 8, and it said medium amount to 75% in half or more of your conversations. That's what you put on your questionnaire. And you're appearing disabled at that time. This was a few years ago, 30% of the time. And you were slapping your leg or shutting your eyes and forcing a word. These are not that unusual conduct. That's no fun, and you don't need to do it, and you shouldn't. But it's not, it's nothing here that we can't handle. Obsessive compulsive disorder, that's all kind of related. And of course, the better your speech is, the less obsessive compulsive disorder you're going to have.
Right.
It's the chicken and the egg here. Which came first? Well, it doesn't really matter. We got to deal with both of them. So you wrote me that you could read aloud, whisper without stuttering, and you could talk alone. Mostly, that's a little unusual. Most people can talk alone, without equivocation. At this point, it's not mid 2019 now, it's Christmas 2023. Do you feel as though at this point that you can talk alone, period?
Yes. I think, if it's just me and then, I'm eating aloud, a book, I think that it's great.
Okay.
I have no issues there.
Okay. 26. Let me get this thing here. These things get in my way. Okay. What's the last book of mine you read?
Um, I didn't read your most recent one, but I read the one that was released in 2019, or yeah, I think it was the third edition.
Okay, that's pretty good, but the How to Stop Stuttering is better.
Hmm.
The short course is kind of like a Cliff Notes thing
Hmm.
that you could kind of, I don't know, carry around. And when you ever have, idle time, wherever you are, you keep that with your other books as kind of like a break from your medical. You can only learn so much chemistry at one time. When you need to give your mind a respite, do this because look, this is a game. Speech is a game. Life is a game. You're funny. I'm funny. Life's funny. It's all how we look at it. And you're going to win this battle. If you stay with it, you're going to win it. If you don't stay with it, I can't say. I don't know. Maybe you win it anyway. Maybe you won't. I don't know. So, in any event, okay. So, okay. This statement of very few bad since age 14. I'm going to take that out
Yes,
of this
please.
thing because that's throwing me off.
Yeah, thanks.
Has minor blocks, forced words, and a few repeats. Okay, then I'm looking at mid 2020 issues with all words, but only as to groups of two or more, and presentations and phone and authority figures. Is that still true?
I would say that it's probably worse on the phone and to my bosses. Yes, the groups too. It's the worst then. But I think though that I have an issue, with like everyone, not just on the phone and the bosses, but um,
So
I
right now, what's the most difficult thing? Public speaking, period.
yes.
Okay, and then is it authority figures?
Yes.
Okay, and then is it phone?
Yes.
And then it's groups of two or more.
Um, yeah, I would probably put the groups over phone calls. So I'll
Okay.
put the groups at
Okay.
3 and all the
Right.
phone calls at 4.
Okay. Okay. Uh, okay. Um, you realize what I put on the cover of all my books at the bottom, my motto, if I can say one word anywhere, anytime, I can say any word anywhere, anytime. I mean, is that logic to you?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's
Yes.
absolute logic. It's absolute fact. And that's what you're going to prove to yourself. And when you prove it, then school's out, game, set, match, you're done. Can you improve your speech? Yes. Should you? Sure. You should stay with this program until you're the best speaker in your class, period. And you don't think of it as I'm going to compete and be the best in my class. Just think of it as I'm going to be the best I can be, because that's all you need to be the best in your class.
Right.
Believe me, if you're the best you can be, you'll be the best in your class. You'll be the best almost everywhere you go. That's a fact. Now, did you come to Sam yesterday?
Yes.
Good. So you heard what I had to say.
Yeah. It was on Saturday, right? Yes.
Yes.
Yes. The like the affirmations.
Yes.
Yes.
And so how did I sound to you as a speaker?
Great. Awesome. The best I've ever heard.
Well, I promise you this. I'm not doing anything you can't do. Nothing. It's all of that is crutch 11, speaking like a king or queen. And you do that. I should have made that the last crutch probably. But it's a method. It's a method. And really the one I made the last crutch is 13, no crutch at all, which means you simply don't think about your speech when you talk,
Hmm.
which is what fluent speakers do. It's what I'm doing now. Now, when I gave that talk yesterday, I wasn't doing that. I was reading text that I had written. Well, of course it was better. I could concentrate on the delivery,
Right.
not the thoughts. Now, with the stutterer, they don't concentrate on the delivery and they don't concentrate on the thoughts. They
On the
concentrate on the words,
Right, right.
which is they're going at the tail end of the mule and wondering why it smells. You know, I mean, give me a break. You got to go to the right end of the horse here. That's all you got to do. Now, there are two things that you've got to convince yourself of before you can quit stuttering. One of them is that you can say any single word,
Mhm.
anywhere, anytime. You may have to use a crutch or you may not. But the point is, you can do it. And you got to be able to know that for yourself. And the second thing is, you've got to have, and that means you got to know crutches 1 through 8, or at least enough of them to handle any word. And the second thing is, you got to be able to say, I can carry a conversation of any length, anywhere, anytime with anybody. You say, oh my God. No, it's not that hard. It's not that hard. And we break it down into speech plans that suit you. And the most typical one is short, length, stop.
Right.
That's all you gotta, when you say, oh, that's easy, but you gotta master each one.
Mm-hmm.
Short means short. Short means short. When I speak in short increments, that means short. Short defined as 1 to 3 words or so at a time, followed by a full stop, meaning 1 second minimum, 1001. Sometimes 2 seconds, 1001, 1002. Then I continue. Occasionally 3 seconds, and then continue. If I lose the speech floor, I don't care. I'll get it back. And I'll make good use of it when I do. I don't ask you to count your words, ever. I'm doing that now to show you that I can talk in short increments and sound normal, natural, convincing, compelling, interesting, all of the above. I can whisper. I can shout. I move around. Stops are the most important part of good speaking. They bring people to you. They don't run away. So that's into the speech plan. But before we get to the speech plan, you've got to master 1 through 8, which deals with the individual words. You got to prove to yourself there's no word you can't say. Now, we've only talked, what, 1 time recently? This is our 2nd time.
No, the first time is now.
First time is now. Okay,
Yeah.
good. I'm glad you tell me this because I like to keep track. It helps me know where we are.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so, okay. Do you feel yet that you can say any word anywhere, anytime. You feel you can do that?
No, I can't. Yeah, I know it's bad. So, so I think that I'm working on the crutches now for few weeks, at the end, like a few months, and I think that my go-tos are crutch 1 and then 4. But so, if I'm talking to a boss, and I get like a block, or or I start to repeat my words. Um, I'll I'll often use crutch 4, and I think that oftentimes I'll overuse it,
Okay.
and I think an issue too is I'll say, you know, and I don't,
But
link.
that's wrong. You had a break between the and the word.
Right, yeah, right.
Man, blah blah blah.
Yeah,
My name is. Where are you going? We got you cannot have a break between the sound and the word.
right. The issue it is I'll say and then I'll keep the block still on the word because I'm not linking the
Because you're
my
not.
name is.
You got to think of it as singing.
Hmm.
Have you ever sung at all?
No, I know I'm horrible with
Okay,
music.
but if you're somewhere in a group and everybody's singing a song and you sing along, you don't stutter. You don't stutter
No,
when you
no,
sing.
no.
99+% of stutterers don't stutter when they sing. And the reason is they hold their tone through the words. They're also thinking about a melody, and therefore their mind is focused on the melody and naturally they're holding their tone because that's what you have to do when you sing.
Hmm.
When I'm worried and I can't sleep, it's natural to hold your tone. So if I do that without a melody, when I'm worried and I can't sleep, you hear my breath. When
Hmm.
I'm worried, it's coming out of here. I'm not thinking about my abdomen at all. I'm thinking about holding my tone.
Hmm.
My brain thinks about, oh, get some air out of your abdomen if you want to hold the tone. It's just like your brain picks words. If you'll let it, your brain's way ahead of you, way ahead of you. So we're going to keep letting it breathe for us, which it will naturally do. We don't have to think about breathing at all.
Hmm.
So what we have to think about is holding our tone. So I want you to practice holding your tone with me.
Okay.
So I'm going to say, okay, you just say what I say and try and say it the way I say it.
Okay.
How are you?
How are you?
Where are you going?
Where are you going?
What time is it?
What time is it?
May I help you?
May I help you?
Will you help me?
Will you help me?
Can I have a ride?
Can I have a ride?
What's the homework assignment?
What's the homework assignment?
I want to hear that breath. What's the homework assignment? I want you to be straining a little bit at the end of what it is because you're running out of breath naturally. The number of words we say, your diaphragm will always have enough air in it to say to support the words we say because we only say a few. So it's another way that kind of regulates stops when
Hmm.
you really put air in it because you run out of breath. So it's natural to stop. And your brain rebreathe. You don't have to think about getting a breath. Your brain will take care of that for you. Don't worry about that.
Hmm.
Your focus is on thoughts, not on words. It's on thoughts. I'm hot, I'm cold, I'm hungry, I'm not. We're late, you're early. Whatever your thought is, it's the thought. And the words, a lot of different words will say the same thoughts. So what? It doesn't matter which ones you use. This is not a prepared speech. That's another subject. And we work on that differently. It's reading aloud, and that's fine. It's another subject. So this is conversation. That's all we're working on here. So you gotta consciously try hard to keep your breath supporting these words. It's like the glue that keeps them together. You look, it takes 4 things to start. You gotta think a word, you gotta hesitate, think a word, fear it, and force it. If you don't do every one of those things, you won't stutter. You can't. And so the thing about it is, you can do them all in less than a second. You can do them all in a fraction of a second. You know, you can hesitate, think a word, fear it, and force it. You can do it in a split second. So you need to be doing something else to prevent that from happening.
Right.
And that's what we're doing. We're doing something else. So in this case, we're learning to link. And by keeping it short, we can link. We have the breath to do it. And by stopping, when we stop, we get a break. It's like time off for good behavior. And it's really helpful. Even a second, it's really helpful. And it really actually helps the listener too, because they get tired of being bombarded with your words. Subconsciously, they do. Sometimes consciously. So most people talk too fast and they never take a break. And they're very boring.
Right.
So we're not going to do that. We're going to do it differently. So, okay. So you're going to hold your breath. Pardon me. You're going to. It's the day after Christmas, I guess. That's my excuse.
Right.
So okay. So we're gonna keep working on keeping it short, and while we don't count our words, that's why I always say 1 to 3 words or so, because whether it may be 5 or 6 on occasion or 1 word, it doesn't matter. But we're shooting for roughly 3. We're shooting. And when we get in the stream of it, it's natural to do it that way. Okay, that's why I like poems and song lyrics to read, because they're short and they're easy to handle using these methods. Okay, so let's continue. So you're saying what I'm saying.
Okay.
And you're linking all your words, and you're holding your tone through all your words. When I'm worried.
When I'm worried.
And I can't sleep.
And I can't sleep.
I count my blessings.
I count my blessings.
Instead of sheep.
Instead of sheep.
And I fall asleep.
And I fall asleep.
Counting my blessings.
Counting my blessings.
Aren't you speaking smoothly?
Yeah.
Doesn't that sound nice?
I can feel that hum in the words that I say. Like I'm humming through all my words, and yeah, like it feels good.
Good. And when you start talking to me, as opposed to repeating what I say, you want to use the same humming through your words all the while. You must make it a habit for now. Until when? Until you don't need to do it. And that'll happen naturally. You just won't need to do it, and you won't do it. It'll go away of its own. Your point is to get it in there as a habit. Okay. When my bankroll
When my bankroll
is getting small,
is getting small.
I think of when
I think of when
I had none at all,
I had none at all,
and I fall asleep,
and I fall asleep,
counting my blessings.
counting my blessings.
I think about a nursery,
I think about a nursery,
and I picture curly heads,
and I picture curly heads,
and one by one I count them.
and one by one I count them.
Now, when I use my hand, you do too.
Okay.
And one by one I count them
And one by one I count them
as they slumber in their beds.
as they slumber in their beds.
And I fall asleep,
And I fall asleep,
counting my blessings.
counting my blessings.
So if you're worried,
So, so if you're worried,
again, try and focus on the message, not on any words. The minute you start thinking of words, you're off the track.
right?
So if you're worried
So if you're worried
and you can't sleep,
and you can't sleep
use your hand, and you can't sleep,
and you can't sleep,
just count your blessings
just count your blessings
instead of sheep,
instead of sheep,
and you'll fall asleep
and you'll fall asleep
counting your blessings.
counting your blessings.
Ah, how sweet it is. Do you realize when you keep it short and you hum through your words, you don't stutter?
Yep.
This is what you must teach yourself. This is your game plan, your speech plan. Short link stop. I remember I was coaching a little girl, 9 years old, in Canada. Her name was Fiora, very pretty. You see her success story. And she's the oldest of like 5 kids, and most of them stuttered. And she is smarter than most of the brightest people I know. She read my entire How to Stop Stuttering book, 700 pages. And I asked her questions about it, and she could answer them.
Well,
And when she finally beat stuttering, and her mother always came to the sessions, of course. I won't coach anybody that young without their parents there. So when she stopped stuttering, I said, "So Fiora, what was there any one thing that helped you the most in this program?" She said, "Oh yes." I said, "What was it?" She said, "Increments, increments of speech. Short increments is the secret to fast fluency, because it's simply easier to do." So you want to begin speaking in short increments. Everything you say to everybody is in short increments. And change the length of your stops frequently. Why? If you don't, you won't stop. And if you don't stop, you're going off the cliff.
Mm-hmm.
There's another thing that you should do that you haven't been doing. When you get to the edge of the cliff and you're about to go off, you started to repeat, my name is Lee, 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 Lee. Well, rather than keep talking, Lee, Lee, Lee.
Stop talking.
Take a 2 count, 1001, 1002. You need at least a 2 count there, maybe 3. And then start over again, humming in short increments of speech. And enjoy this thing. Look, there's no rule or law that says you can't beat this now. There's no law that says, oh, you got to take so many weeks or months or yeah, that's all nonsense. You know, you can beat it whenever you're ready to beat it. And you don't need this. And if you will keep it, you've got to you've got to have a new habit, and it's short increments, long stops, and breathing through words. Now, insofar as that's your speech plan, okay? So let me write that down.
Okay.
Nothing new here. So how are you going to say individual words? Crutch number 4 says make a sound or insert a word. I'm going to suggest to you, you go away from the sound for the moment.
Okay.
And go to a word. Now, when you're stuck on a word, you're always stuck on one word, one syllable, one letter. When I can't say Lee, or you can't say John, you know, I'm stuck on Lee and on the L in Lee, and you're stuck on John and the J in John.
Mm-hmm.
Now, that's the only thing that we're stuck on. We can then say anything else, any other word that we know, and we know thousands and thousands of words. We use 10,000 routinely, and we may know some 100,000 words. We take any one of them you want. Just don't think about it first, just say it. Any word, doesn't matter what it is. You can say, what's my name? I can say Pizza Lee. I said pizza. What's that have to do with it? Nothing. I don't care. I didn't stutter on Lee. If I was thinking about pizza, so what? Do you think anyone cares? Do you think anyone would notice? Do you think anyone would say anything about it? Probably not. So if I pick a more friendly word like or
like, well, John.
Or
Mm-hmm.
well, yeah, I mean, I call them conjunctive words, things that bring things together a little bit. Any word like that makes it real easy. Well, Lee. So say after me. Well, Lee.
Well, Lee.
So Lee.
So Lee.
And Lee.
And Lee.
No. And Lee.
And Lee.
So John.
So John.
Well, John.
Well, John.
And John.
And John.
Well, metaphysics.
Well, metaphysics.
And chemistry. You have to swallow the C a little bit. And chemistry.
And chemistry.
So physics.
So physics.
If you have to swallow the first letter a little bit, don't worry about it.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody will know what you mean. No one will think anything of it. Let me tell you something right now. What you just did, you can do that anywhere, anytime. You don't need my help.
Right.
You can do this. But you got to practice it and prove to yourself that it's easy. Prove it to yourself. Prove it. Keep doing it. When you hang up the Skype, that's when the game begins. The kickoff, and you're the guy receiving the ball in the end zone. And you got the ball until I see you again. You don't have any time off. You don't have 1 minute off between now and the next time you see me. No, not 1 minute. So a lot of it becomes discipline. How disciplined are you? How tough are you? How tough can you be? Quitters don't win and winners don't quit. Don't quit. Be a winner. Keep doing it. Know you can do it. I can do it. Producer can do it. Clifton can do it. This one and that one can do it. You can't do it. That's bullshit. Pardon my French. You can do this. But you got to do it yourself. Nobody can do it for you. I've healed no one ever. Everybody heals themselves. And that's the good news. Because, look, our program, it's a great program. It's not great because I created it. We stand on the giants, we stand on the shoulders of giants. I plagiarize from everybody. I've read a book a week for 50 years. And I've read, you name it, I've never, philosophy, metaphysics, this and the other thing. I love to read. I love literature. I love historical fiction. I love poetry. And I'm a parrot, and I've got a pretty good memory. I remember a lot of things I've read. So that's who I am, I'm a copycat. Plagiarize, don't shade your eyes. It's fun. Learn from me and pass it on to somebody else. That's what it is. We're all trying to make our lives and the world a little bit better place. That's all. Look, why is it such a great program? Because you're not finished until you can say, stuttering was a blessing in my life, and mean it. And it is a blessing in your life if you'll make it one. First, you got to stop appearing to be speech disabled. That's first base. Second, you got to stop thinking words. How do you do that? You think other things. Third, you got to teach yourself to love to speak. How do you do that? By talking more. Where it hurts the most. You keep going up the ladder a little bit at a time. Sam's a great place to start for talking to groups. And you graduate from that to Toastmasters. Sam is still a good place to come. I've got people coming there who beat it 3, 4, 5 years ago. Mm-hmm. They still like to come to Sam. They're comfortable there. They have friends there, and they share what they know. So it helps everybody. It reaffirms things. It's grounding. So that's third base, loving to speak. And I wrote a book on that. It's called Speech Anxiety to Public Speaking. When you've gotten first base down, then you go to that book, and it's a good book. And it just basically, it says, keep inoculating yourself a little bit more with the disease, and you'll get an immunity to it. That's all it says. You just go where it hurts, and you talk. You don't go to the biggest audience you can find with mics and cameras and everything. You go to a small audience, a little bit, and you do a little bit of talking. So when you get really comfortable with that audience, you go to a little larger audience, and up you go. And after a while, I can't wait to talk to an audience. I'd much rather talk to an audience than one person. It's more fun. I accomplish more. Help more people. So, okay. That's basically what I want you to do today.
Okay.
And it's up to you. Short length stop, 24/7, and individual words. Use a conjunctive word. Well, sorry, you don't have to say them loud. It can be very soft. Well, Lee, so John, I'm almost whispering them. So what? You don't know the difference. I can make it loud or soft, long or short. Have fun with it. Make a game out of it. This is a game. You're going to win. Isn't that nice? You love this game. And then maybe in your busy time, you'll help us help somebody else by coming to Sam once in a while, saying something. One of my greatest success stories is a doctor from Saudi Arabia, and he was a terrible, terrible, terrible stutterer. His name is Fahad, and his success story is one of the prominent ones in our library. And he stuttered pitifully, man. I mean, not hardly a word escaped his mouth. It was terrible. He stopped stuttering 100%.
Wow.
And he said he would call people on the phone, say, this is Fahad, blah, 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 blah. They'd say, this is not Fahad. They, oh, yes, it is. They said, no, I know Fahad. He can't say something like that. I mean, it was amazing. When he got married, he sent me a picture of his wedding party. And I don't know what, they're Arabs or Hindus, I'm not sure. They were the most beautifully dressed people I've ever seen in my life, all different colors. And his wife was as beautiful as any woman you have ever seen in your life. I kid you not. She was stunning. But you know the sad news? Why did I bring him up? Because I'm mad at him. He never answers my emails.
Oh, man.
Not at all. Not at all.
That's horrible.
You know, I want to do, I like to do status things. Like I
Mhm.
just sent one yesterday to somebody, a girl, and I said, we haven't Skyped in a couple of years. Why don't we Skype? She said, great, great, great.
Right.
So when I get her on Skype, she's never done a Sam talk either. I'll get her to do a Sam talk. If she had done one, I'd ask her to come back and do an update,
Mm-hmm.
because it's good practice for her, and of course it helps other people. So I try and I can't go back to everybody because there are over 200
Wow.
that I've worked with myself.
Wow.
So the number gets bigger, but I like to get them. And I tell you right now, I want a success story out of you, one way or another. If I have to come to Chicago and beat you with a broom, I will do it. Don't think I
All
won't.
right, deal.
Most people don't know when they need to do it. They need to do it before they think they should, because it's part of the healing process.
Right, right.
You can't get to first base if you keep saying, I'm not there after you're standing on it.
Mm-hmm.
This is a lot of people. In fact, I'd say over half of stutterers, they don't want to ever admit it. I had one girl who was a terrible, terrible, terrible stutterer. She's in the forestry service out in the West Coast somewhere.
That's cool.
Dropped into fires and stuff.
Wow.
Terrible stutterer. Um, I worked with her, oh God, a couple of years. I don't know. Anyway, she'd finally been about 6 months without a bad incident, and she wouldn't post a success story. So finally I said, I'm posting one for you, but it's not under your name, and I won't put your picture on it, but I'm posting one for you because you've been 6 months and that's it.
Right.
I'm taking this credit for this. And she was so mad at me. She was so mad at me. She hasn't spoken to me since.
Oh,
But
man.
But I mean, these are people who tell me that I've saved their life and all this kind of stuff. I didn't do it. They did it themselves. I have one woman who's written me that 3 times that I've saved her life. And she's also quiet now. She was an attorney in South Africa. And she was working for like a clerk's wages when I met her. She's gorgeous, really pretty. And she's had two new jobs now. She's making 3 times as much money as she used to make. She's gotten married, which I don't think would have happened with the stuttering. And she's living a good life. And but I can't get her to answer me. And she's written me so much praise, it's ridiculous.
Hmm.
But don't disappear on us. Remember, I don't do this just for you. I'm trying to help a lot of people, beginning with you, because I'm talking to you. So I'm very interested in your beating it personally. I'm investing my time in you. Time is all I've got. It's all I've got. Now you see my white hair, I don't have that much of it. So you got to move them. You got to pick them up and put them down. All right, listen, I'll see you next week, same time, same say. Let's see, what will the date be? Let's check.
I think that you mentioned that you're flying next week. Or
Okay, that's right.
yes.
I've
Yeah.
already told you that. That's right.
Yeah.
Okay, so the
So
week after that, 2 weeks.
perfect. Yeah,
So
that
two
is great at the
weeks.
same
Now,
time.
but you're on good behavior. Now you got to be a tough speech cop to yourself.
Okay.
You
Deal.
got when you start stuttering, you got to shut your
Agile.
trap
Uh-huh.
and start again, and keep it short, and link it, and throw your and so or your well in there, and just make sure there's no break between the well or the so and the word, and you'll have no problem.
Okay.
You can also modulate it, going louder, softer, higher, lower. That'll also work just pretty much the same way. All right. I'll see you in 2 weeks.
All right, coach. Thank you for all the help. I appreciate it, coach.
Okay, man. I'm counting on you. I'm
All
going to
right.
call my broker and double my bet right now.
All right. All right,
I'll
awesome,
see.
coach.
I'll see you, mate. Take
See you.
care.
Thanks.